speaking both for myself and then having worked with hundreds, if not thousands of clients over the years, we've all seen it. Most people have no idea what they're spending.
Right.
All thoughts and opinions shared in this recording belong to the participants. This podcast is meant to inform and educate and should not be seen as solicitation or endorsement for business.
Welcome to the Market Moment. This is Matt Walters here with John Martfeld.
Good morning.
And Lee Mackey.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yeah, we are in 2025, so new year.
We're 1 week.
1 week, yeah, January 7th, so weekend, which is crazy that we're already a weekend. But yeah, had a good Christmas, good New Year's. But what about you guys?
Awesome. Everything
did.
was wonderful.
Yeah, I made it to about 9:45 on New Year's night.
I don't think I've made it to midnight since I was 25.
Yeah,
You know,
I just
I-
I gave up.
I took a
long time
nap,
ago.
then I woke up and
celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 2024 was a good year in the markets.
It was a good year in the markets.
I know for a lot of people here, a lot of our clients, like any year, you know, you have your ups and downs, but it was a solid year overall. In an election year, big
Election.
big election, a lot of things going on with the Fed and inflation and interest rates, and so there was a lot happening as there is in any year. But we roll into 2025 in a pretty good spot. You know, the economy is strong overall. I mean, right? There's always these pockets of kind of question marks of,
Sure.
you know, how are things holding up or how well are they really doing, and pockets of kind of maybe some soft areas or whatever. But overall,
the
it's good.
strength and the strength in the economy may end up being what hurts the markets. It's just interesting how that all works out. But
Yeah.
the overall health of the economy, the strength of the economy, is what could in turn keep the markets, you know, kind of somewhat at bay,
Right.
because of the Fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we roll into
Exactly
the new
right.
year a weekend, like Lee said. So January 7th, we got the 10-year at 4.62.
Yeah.
So it is not, it's not one to come down. It's being stubborn. So, real quick before we're going to keep today short, Erica's like on us because our cameras are going to die. But
And we
We spent
all-
too much with makeup and
we
prep.
all sound like we're
yeah.
you know, halfway
Matt's
to the
just
grave.
coming over like the Ebonic plague or whatever.
I literally started the new year with like an inhaler and antibiotics. And yeah, it's
I
been a
challenged
grind.
him to a run yesterday. He did not accept, but I think I could have gotten it.
Probably.
I mean, he would have died, but I think I could have got it.
So let's real quick before we talk about New Year's resolutions and goal setting and some things that we do, want to talk about our forecast or predictions. So our individual predictions on what we think the Fed is going to do in terms of cutting rates this year. So Lee, let's start off with you. So we had 3 rate cuts last year. We had was it a 50, 25, 25? Where do you think they'll go this year, and how many times do you think they'll go?
Another 3.
Okay. Anything more than 25?
No.
So you think 3 quarter basis point cuts?
Yeah.
Okay, John.
I think 2, and I think that there's some things that are going to challenge all that stuff, right? Number one, Joe Biden just did some oil things, right? Cut some of our opportunity for oil production off the coast of basically the whole United States. And if Trump can unwind that, remember he's the big energy, you know, let's be pumping oil. And if energy costs go down rapidly, that will help inflation, which will in turn help accelerate maybe rate cuts. Because if we can see inflation going down, and that's one of the key drivers, in my opinion, is the price of energy. So I just look at it like I think 2 rate cuts are probably what I'm thinking, but there could be more if we were to somehow get energy costs down by summer.
Yeah. I would say 2 as well.
Okay.
I'd say if they did 2 quarter basis point cuts, that'd get us to like a target range of 3.75 to 4. So it'd get us right under that 4 level. That means absolutely nothing other than it just,
I know.
It,
If-
feel, it feels
if
right.
they-
It feels better.
If they only do 2, that means the economy is smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, and I think there's a chance, like that's what you were talking about before. You know, it's the misconception, like a lot of people think energy companies like Trump because he's pro energy pumping oil, right? But in reality, energy companies' stock prices go up when you have a
Right.
bearish,
Sure.
because the demand stays the same. It's just supply changes, right? So I think it's kind of interesting that energy is a piece of this. The Fed is a massive. I mean, they're going to be basing it off inflation, but I think energy cost is the biggest driver, one way or the other, for inflation. So I look for all those things to.
I'll clarify
matter this year.
I'll clarify my stance. I think 3 rate cuts this year, but that doesn't mean I think that the economy is going to be weak. I think inflation will come down through other means.
Yeah.
And it'll allow the Fed to sneak in a third one
Yeah, on their
in the
eighth
fall.
meeting. Yeah. I like that.
Well, and you got to keep in mind, like, you don't want the Fed, if the Fed's cutting more aggressively, that's probably not a good sign.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So,
And we may not get one for, there won't be one in January. I can't imagine there being a
Right,
cut,
right.
given the numbers that we're seeing come out. So we may wait until the second or third meeting before we get our first one.
I won't bore you with this, guys, but if anybody wants to look back at Ronald Reagan when he got elected in 1980, he started in 81, and the market was excited because Reagan had all these kind of what Trump kind of brings to the table. There's a lot of similarities, except the market was a completely different deal back then versus now, and you can kind of see what Paul Volcker did at the Fed to fight inflation, and I'm hoping that we kind of follow that same line, but it didn't really. The markets themselves were kind of panicked for a while, about a year into that, before it started, before the market started moving back up and everything else. We're on a different stance right now. The market's been booming. Doesn't matter what the 10-year Treasury is. Doesn't matter what inflation is. Doesn't matter what the Fed does. The market just keeps moving. It's a different market, but I do see some correlation between 1980 and now, and
I kind of feel
it's kind
bad.
of positive for
I
the
kind of
long
feel
term.
in some way, I kind of feel bad for, and we won't get stuck on this, but for Trump, I mean, if you're Trump, you're coming in. I mean, the economy's pretty strong.
Absolutely.
Inflation has been out of control the last few years, but like things are not continuing to accelerate like they were, right? The market's at or near all-time highs, right? And so if you're Trump, it's not that I don't think he could continue and build on some of that. I absolutely do, but you need things to go well, right, for things to continue, because it's not like you're coming in where everything is just horrible.
Well,
When you look at the numbers. Now, I know there are pockets. Like I said, there's pockets and there's people that are absolutely maybe not in a great spot, but it's more so because of how much inflation has been over the last few years, not necessarily how much it's accelerating at this point in time.
he inherits a robust market. He inherits the worst debt, the highest debt we've ever had in our life, which, that's one of the big keys of Elon Musk and Vivek, is to try to, cut government. But it is not going to be a popular stance when you don't have legs to stand on of a poor economy and things
Right.
just in disaster. He's going to have less. To your point, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as easy as even I thought it might be. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So as we roll into 2025, I know here at the firm, we're big believers in setting goals, dreaming big, and setting goals that both in the short and long term that we can measure, that we can hold each other accountable to. So as we're talking to people out there listening, thinking about this new year, what are some things that you guys do personally in terms of how you go about setting goals and the way you look at that, and any tips or advice that you have for listeners?
Lee, you want to start?
John's Googling goals. Yeah.
What is a goal? I think this year, I've tried to. I think one of my goals, and one of the things that Susan and I talked about, was just making life simple, making life simpler. Sometimes we tend to make it a little bit too complex. I have found I'm not a big resolution keeper. With everybody, I'm like, first of the year, I'm going to read more books, or I'm going to exercise more. But what I've learned is make the goals much smaller,
More achievable.
and I write them down. I think I'm a firm believer in writing something down in a place that you can kind of see it fairly often. But this year, our goals are just to kind of simplify.
Well, on Lee's point, I like to write things down, but I use a pencil with an eraser. So I can change them if I need to.
Of course you do.
You know, one of the things I think with like losing weight, right? It's always a goal of mine, lose weight. Erica at our office is running like the wind. She ran yesterday in 10-degree weather. Like, that's dedication, right? I mean, like, she's missing 3 fingers today, but
Maybe
she ran in 10-degree weather.
Ounce of stupidity.
But, you know, you set these goals, and I think one of the things, like when you talk to like a person that's in the industry of physical fitness, right? They tell you to set realistic goals, and we set far too many unrealistic. Like, I want to lose 15 pounds in a month. Well, good luck. Yeah. You really can't do that. So you set a goal like, I want to lose a pound a month. Yeah. And if you do something like that, in 25 months, I'll be where I want to be. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to try to do 2 pounds a month. But the point is, set a realistic goal that is easier to achieve than some crazy, far outlandish thing, you know, that 2 weeks in you're frustrated because you have no progress. So I think that's one thing I'm trying to learn in my 53 years of setting goals.
Yeah, I mean, I always like trying to think through where do I need to improve, both, you know, personally, spiritually, financially. You know, obviously looking at the business, and then also fitness, and setting one or two really small goals. Because I'm the same. Like, if you set something really big, it's just easier to fall short. And so setting shorter, you know, smaller goals and then trying to incrementally get better is really helpful. But a key aspect that I think a lot of people miss on it is, and this is where we try to do a good job, and we fall short. We don't do a great job, but we try to do a good job of, here at the firm, of having someone that holds you accountable. Because if you've got these goals and you never tell anyone about it, and you're the only person that knows, like, you're much less likely to follow through with them and do them. So whether it's your spouse, your buddy, your friend, your coworker, like, tell them, hey, this is what I want to do, and I need you to, like, ask me about it every day. Yep. Like, hey, did you do your quiet time this morning? Yep. Hey, did you go for your run last night? You know, and hopefully you have those relationships where you can have someone who's holding you accountable and you can give each other feedback, because if not, man, it's hard to just do it out of your own will and discipline. 100%. Not impossible, but it is really, really hard. So have someone that can hold you accountable. On the financial side of things, I was thinking through this, you know, in terms of what's a goal that a lot of people, that's applicable for the broader audience. And it's simple, and I know a lot of people probably already think about it or do it, but speaking both for myself and then having worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of clients over the years, we've all seen it. Most people have no idea what they're spending.
Right.
They have they know what their salary is, they know what their projected bonus and their stock options and but in terms of their actual week to week, month to month cash flow, like, what is going out, where is it going? They really don't have any idea. They just know, am I spending more or less than what's coming in? And so I think, financially speaking, regardless of if you have a $5 to $10 million portfolio or if you're just getting started, right, opening up a Roth IRA for the first time, we see it across the board. And I think a great goal is to sit down with your spouse, sit down with a parent, if you're younger and you're not married, again, someone who can hold you accountable, that you can say, hey, here's the situation, here's what it is, here are the bills, here's what we've got, and come up with a plan, so that you not only know what's going in and out, but you know, like, what you're trying to accomplish and how you're going to get there.
You know, that's a great point. You know, in December, you know, Susan and I talked about it, and, you know, we were not going to do a budget, but we just decided we need to get a handle on what we're spending. I mean, you know, whether you're making $24,000 or $240,000, most people do not know. And so, you know, there's all sorts of apps out there and software, you know, Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar. We got one called Monarch Money. And basically I was like, we're going to track every dollar that we spend in 2025 just to see. And, you know, we already are seeing where we're spending that we didn't even know. You know, you have subscriptions that are coming out automatically and so forth. So,
well, food becomes a big cost that we don't give enough credit to. I do the financial plans. I did one the other day for a young man. They're making a lot of money. He's got a nice promotion. He's young. And we sat down, we talked. So he gave me his income, and then we did his expenses. And he had his expenses lined out, right? And it turns out he has, like, in this particular case, like $5,000 extra a month that is not earmarked to anything. And I said to him, he's had this for like 2 years, this same pay. And I was like, so where is that 120,000? Because 5,000 times, 24. And he said, I have no idea. And the point is, like, it's not there, but yet they all their expenses are accounted for, but they've got $5,000 a month missing somewhere. So all their expenses aren't accounted for, is my point. And so he's going back to his wife and probably going to cause, they're going to have to go get counseling and so on, because somehow they're spending $5,000 a month that they don't think
They're going to go to their counselor. They're going to be like, why are you here like John Martfeld?
Yeah. Our marriage was just fine until we met with our financial advisor.
Two things that I have seen and know that it can have the biggest impact in today's world. It's crazy how things have changed just in my lifetime of like
And
how
you're
you
a young
spend
pup.
money. Yeah, I'm a lot younger than you guys. And is doing a subscription review. So you referred to it, reviewing your subscriptions. I almost guarantee you're going to find one or two that you don't even know you're still paying for.
Exactly.
And then two, I challenge each and every one of you, go for 3 months. Not too long, but long enough. Go for 3 months and don't order a single item online. If you buy something, you have to physically get in your car and go buy it. And do that. And to keep up with your expenses and what you spend over those 3 months, I'm telling you, the ease, and it's brilliant marketing. It's great business for these, I don't want any of our Walmart people to be like, dude, quit. But like Walmart online, Amazon, that's great. It's easy. But you spend more because of how easy it is. And if you have to think about something of like, how much do I really want that? Am I willing to get in my car and physically drive somewhere to go buy it? I bet 8 out of 10 things you don't end up buying. And so just do that for 3 months just to kind of get your head wrapped around what are we spending, what do we really care about, see how big of a difference it makes. It's just kind of a reset. I'm not saying do it forever.
Well, I also think one other thing on that, because you're 100% right. I think you'd find lots of money you didn't know you had. Yeah. But also, if you get, and I think this is for young people especially, the younger you are, the quicker you learn to put money aside for your retirement. You put 10% away, right, or 15% away. The more you can kind of set aside and you get used to on your first paycheck when your first job out of college, and you continually do that and you have financial planning and you know where that money's going, then you can kind of spend the other money if you know that your goals are set from what you're saving, right? You get my point? So if you're saving enough, then some of this stuff doesn't matter. The problem is a lot of us are behind, and especially older folks that didn't get into saving until a bit later in life. They're behind, so they really need to do these goal-setting things. But younger people need to start learning how to save so they don't go through this when they're 40 and 45 and 50 and have to catch up or, reset their life plan.
I like those. I like that. Susan just texted and she wants to have a word with you.
Yes.
I think this year, if people can save more and be conscious and mindful of, and track their expenses, because it doesn't matter, again, what your income is, unless you're you're just watching every penny, you don't know. Going to ball games, hitting concession stands, that adds up. That's one thing that I've seen over the last couple of months as we've been tracking it is
those $40 cheeseburgers are
you go get a popcorn and a drink at a Razorback basketball game.
Yeah.
There's $15. And you do that a couple of times a week. Little things add up.
Oh my
How many
gosh,
games
yes.
are you going to? A couple times a week?
I know. Non-conference.
My word.
It'll slow down now.
I'll help you review your budget.
So no online shopping for 3 months.
Try it.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
A couple years ago, I deleted the Amazon app off my phone, and it was kind of like I felt really good about myself. I was like, oh, good for me. And then I was like, before long, without even having thought about it, I had Apple Pay on my phone, and I was just as quick. I was just like, buy. Still don't have the Amazon app, but it's crazy how many different ways can sneak in that are super, super convenient
yeah.
that I absolutely love because it makes my life easier. But you look back over the last month, you're like, man, I spent like an extra $250 just because I had a thought. I was able to jump online and buy it before I ever really had to like digest, like, do I want this? Do I need this? So we've kind of hammered that home, but I think
Yeah.
those are a couple things that everybody should consider or look at. So
Sure.
we are super excited about 2025. We have some big goals personally, some big goals here at the firm, wanting to develop and continue to make this podcast better. Going to try to get some cool guests on here this year. So really excited about 2025. I'm sure there'll be ups and downs as any year, but it'll be a good year. So as always, we appreciate you guys joining us. Give us a like, subscribe, comment. We really want to grow our viewership and listenership this year, so we appreciate any help that you would offer us. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Have a good week.
The hosts of the Market Moment podcast are employees of Mach 1 Financial Group, LLC. Mach 1 is a registered investment advisor located in Rogers, Arkansas. Mach 1 may only transact business in those states in which the firm maintains a notice filing or has qualified for an exemption or exclusion from registration. A copy of Mach 1's current written disclosure brochure is available through the SEC website and available at disclosures.mach1fg.com. Thank you for listening to the Market Moment podcast.